I have literally made this video about 10 times now, so I'm just going to start by introducing myself. My name is Shannon, I'm 21 years old, and I'm making this video because I have something I want to talk about, and I feel it's not, I feel it's just simply not healthy anymore to keep this a secret, and I have slowly shared this a little bit, but I feel like it's the first time that I've really wanted to very clearly say this, and what I want to say is simply that I am Muslim. Now, most people that have me on Facebook or know me in real life already know this about me, but I have never simply or very clearly, broadcasted or announced that I am Muslim, but most people do know this about me, although there are still quite a lot of people in my life that do not know that, including my parents. I have been Muslim as of today, since today is June 14th. I have been Muslim one whole year as of today. So I haven't really planned how I'm going to make this video, because every time I try to plan it, it doesn't work out and I get very nervous with the camera. So I knew that I was going to have a hard time with this, so what I wanted to do was I posted a status on Facebook saying that I was going to talk about it and make a video, and asked if any of you guys had any questions. So I'm going to go ahead and start answering some questions so that I can get a little bit more comfortable and go ahead and get this conversation a bit started. So the first question was, did you find it hard to find other Muslims in your area? Yes, as far as I know, I am the only Muslim in my area. Now, I did meet somebody who told me that there was one family here, but I've never seen them, nor have I been able to contact them. I have tried to ask somebody if they could put me in contact, and they lost their phone number. So as far as I know, I am the only Muslim in my area. But I will say that I do live about an hour away from the Muslim community. Actually, it's the Muslim community that I go to is the one in Raleigh. Most of you guys know this as the Chapel Hill shooting that happened a few months back ago. That mosque is the one that I usually attend. And I will say that everybody there has been very welcoming, and so I did find a lot of Muslims, but they are quite far from me. I have to usually drive about an hour away, so I don't mind this though to drive, but I really do wish that there were other Muslims at my school. Next question was, do you feel like Islam stops you in any way, socially or professionally? I wouldn't say that it stops me, but I would definitely say that it has changed how I approach some things. The only thing I would say maybe it stops me is professionally. I do feel very shy in my area to wear the hijab. I usually try to wear a hat or something like this because I usually don't like to go out like this. Just because I am the only one in my area, and the area that I live in is actually very country, so people usually don't see people of other ethnics or religions. I live in a predominantly white, Mexican, or black area, so to see anything other than a Baptist or a Catholic, it's really weird actually here. So professionally, when I try to apply for a job wearing hijab, it definitely gives me a hard time. But I would say that, in bigger cities, because I live in North Carolina, bigger cities, they're definitely much more accepting, but so far I haven't had too many problems. I just kind of keep things to myself, and I just sort of change how I dress where I go. Some places I wear a hat, some places I do wear the hijab. But socially, I think it has made it a little bit strange, because sometimes I have to explain why I can't shake a man's hand, or why I stop certain men from hugging me, because sometimes I haven't seen people in so long, and they run into me again and they're like, "Oh my God, Shannon," and they try to hug me, and I have to stop them, and they're like, "What's the matter?" and I have to stop and explain myself. So that socially hasn't stopped me, but it's definitely changed how I approach certain things, even in sports. Because I used to do martial arts. If I go and do something like that now, I would not wear a sleeveless shirt, even though I never felt comfortable doing that, and I very rarely ever did do that. But now I kind of have to explain in certain places, like, hey, I wear this because of this, and people are usually very cool with it, but it's just that I do find myself explaining things a lot more than what I used to. The next question was, what is the one thing that strikes you about Islam, and what is the biggest misconception people have about Islam? There were a lot of things that struck me about Islam, and I think there are a lot of misconceptions. For me, who came from a sort of, I was Christian most of my life, but for me, for someone who came from a Christian background, was the rights that women had. I know a lot of people look at the hijab as one thing and think that that's very oppressive. And if you look at the Bible or the Torah or a lot of other religions, actually, women are taught to cover up. So for me, this was a very easy thing to accept. But of course, you have to deal with that sort of misconception, and you have to show people, in their Bible or their Torah or whatever, like, hey, this is in your religion as well. But I find myself, especially with women's rights, trying to explain why some things are acceptable. For me, what was most striking was the soulfulness of Islam, to be very simple in my explanation. I wanted, when I looked into Islam a few years ago, I was looking for a logic, because I feel that logic is something that is extremely important. If if you can't find something that's going to confirm your faith will eventually die. So I did really appreciate the logic that was in Islam that I did not find in other religions, including even Christianity. Even though I felt that it does have a lot of truth, I felt like it did contradict itself in a lot of places. So for me, that was very important. I think the biggest misconception, other than the women's rights, I don't know. I find that there are just simply a lot, even when I first heard about Islam, maybe I was 11 or maybe even younger. What I heard about Islam was that all men had 5 wives, and they prayed to this Allah God in the middle of Saudi Arabia that lived in a black box. And of course, if you take even just 5-10 minutes to look on the internet, you can find that this is simply not true. So honestly, the whole thing that I think is very different about and biggest misconception about Islam is simply that you have to really separate Islam from Arabic culture, because that is what really is the biggest difference. And even me, sometimes I find myself looking at culture and I'm like, why is it like this? And someone has to explain to me, hey, this isn't Islam, and they show me some ayahs, or ayahs are, for those who don't know, it's like a verse. So people do have to show me some ayahs and say, like, hey, it's supposed to be like this. And so I feel that there are still a lot of misconceptions, but I think thankfully people are slowly becoming more comfortable and talking about this, and the internet is really a great place to find out more about this. Next question was, how do you feel after accepting Islam, and how are you learning about it to grow internally? I feel, after accepting Islam, I feel that for me personally, other than the simple fact that you feel very you feel very how can I say it other than clean inside. I remember feeling euphorium. I remember feeling, after I converted, taking my shahada, so much energy and very lighthearted. I felt like I just felt like I had been given something new inside, and there was a sort of peace and serenity that was inside me. And I feel that this has only continued to grow. But as far as growing internally, I feel that Islam is like drinking water. You have to do this every day, but the only question is just simply, how can I do this better and better? And what I mean by that is, I feel like I've learned so much about this religion, and then just when I start to feel like I've learned something or that I know so much, I find that Islam continuously humbles me by showing me, hey, you don't actually know anything. There's still so much out there to learn. I feel that no matter how much I learn about this religion, there's always going to be something new to learn. And that for me, for someone who really loves and enjoys learning about Allah and just learning in general, this is something that definitely does help me to grow spiritually. I really appreciate the fact that there's never an end to how much you can learn in this religion. The next question was, looking back, what would be one thing that you see so odd and makes you go say, Alhamdulillah, I found Islam and understand it? I was not really sure what this person meant, so I asked, what did you mean? And for example, like having a boyfriend before marriage, drinking, different ways of contacting to Allah, the list goes on, you choose. I kind of gave this question a lot of thought, and I still don't know how to answer this. There were a lot of things in my life that really made me, say Alhamdulillah that I found Islam. One of them being that I would say I really feel I have good friends in my life now. I never really had good friends in my life before. They were always people wanted me to go out and drink or party or go out with guys and things like that. And I was never really into that. So I found myself staying by myself for a long time, and I really did not have very many friends growing up. And now I found that I'm really in a very good environment. I feel comfortable when I go out with people because I'm not afraid if I go out with one of my girlfriends now that if I go somewhere with them, are they gonna, bring a boy along and not tell me about it, or they're gonna wanna go to a bar and get drunk and then I'm stuck with them drunk and I don't know what to do, things like this. I would say though, the thing that makes me feel most connected with Allah would be, for me, it was actually, and it's a bit strange that I'm saying this because I still have a hard time with it. I really appreciate the 5 prayers a day. I have a hard time with this because, especially because my family's not Muslim, so sometimes I don't feel comfortable to pray. And because of that, if they're walking around or something, sometimes I don't enjoy it fully. But I would say the Quran was one way that I really felt connected with Allah. When I especially like to listen to it recited. Even though I don't speak Arabic, what I do is I go on YouTube and I listen to it recited, and it has like the translations at the very bottom. And when you hear the Quran, it has I don't know how to say it other than simply that it has a life to it, a life of its own. And when you read it, in your own language and you understand it with the sound, you feel so much amazing. I've actually I did not really get attached to the Quran and start listening to it until actually maybe 2-3 months ago. I started really listening to it a lot, and I found that this really has settled me down a lot. Sometimes I would get a bit depressed or angry or something, and this really helps me calm down. It also very much helps me when I'm studying. So I find that the Quran is definitely a way that I learn a lot and I feel connected with Allah.